My son is here. And I don't mean like just born. I mean literally here for the podcast. Yeah, Rachel and Laguna are napping, so I'm like, Bear, you're coming with me. I gotta do the podcast. But we're doing a little special presentation here of the podcast, and this one's called 2100 because something happened in the hospital, and Zach, I just had to talk about it. Well, one, Bear's birth went relatively smooth. However, he came out so fast that they think he like just swallowed a bunch of air or some shit. So they had to suck his stomach when he first came, and then we had to stay an extra day in the hospital because he had so much air in his intestines that he like spits up after every meal, and it's pretty gassy. But he's very healthy, and we're home now, and we're grateful. So, I mean, it's not we're going to the pediatrician today, and we're gonna see if there's more we could do, but overall he's healthy, and I'm grateful for his health. But all that's for another story, different video, different stream of platform. The podcast, this is called 2100 because something happened in the hospital and it just made me think. And it's kind of in line with just, like being a present parent. And hopefully if I can even inspire one of you to be more present today or be more involved with your kid, then I did my job. This is called 2100 because I was on YouTube TV, and when I was there, we started watching our nurse. We had this nurse name. I shouldn't say her name, maybe. She was so fucking cool. Like, literally made me and Rachel's hospital experience. I literally felt like she was our best friend. And she started telling us about trash TV. She's like, me and my husband, we watch trash TV if you guys are bored. And she brought up this show, 90 Day Fiance. Make a long story boring. When we went on YouTube TV to start watching it, like if we rented Max, that version of the episode expired in 2030. So it's like this episode's available on Max until 2030. But then there was the episode on YouTube TV with commercials, and that episode expired 2100. So it was like May 30th, 2100. And Rachel started crying. Now, granted, she's like extra super postpartum, like 1 second postpartum. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? Because I brought it up. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. It says it expires in 2100. How literally insane is that? Like, that's going to be the date one day. I said, Bear's going to be a grandpa. And she's like, what? No. And I'm like, no, Bear's going to be a grandpa. Because, he was born in 2024. He'll be, 56 or some shit? Or 60 something? 70 something. I swear to God, I passed math in school. And she was shook, and she's like, oh my God, that means we're going to be dead. And I'm like, yeah, we are going to be dead. I mean, I guess I could be 102 because I was born in 98, and Rachel could be 104, but more likely than not, we're going to be dead. And look, I'm not trying to be like pessimistic or anything. Trust me when I say that's not the goal. But I will say that it was like humbling, and she started crying, and I'm like, oh my God, are you good? And we're like kind of laughing at the fact she's crying. It's like a laugh cry. And it's just a sobering moment. And I'm like, wow, like all I have on this earth is the impact I leave on my children and other people, of course. And it's like the Maya Angelou quote, you know what I mean? No one's going to remember what you say or do, just how you made them feel. And I'm like, that's most profound though. That's most relevant, most profound with your children, right? Like they are your legacy. And I mean, you could be remembered in time. You could have your jersey retired as an NFL player and your name could always be brought up. But like really the only stories that are going to hit hard or matter are the ones that your kids maybe tell to their kids and their kids to their kids if you got to be a grandparent. And this sobered me up because I'm like, how often am I focused on something like, I'm doing this podcast, which I guess will disappear once I die. But what I mean is like, how often am I focused on my new things and not focused on the fact that in 2100 I'll be dead? And I feel like everybody kind of goes through this, like, I think we all go through this mental clarity where it's like, I'm going to die one day. Like, let me live every day like it's my last. I have Memento Mori tattooed on me. It stands for remember. It's Latin for remember you will die. And it's just like a reminder, like, okay, I got to live fully. But I think now as I approach 30, I mean, I'm 26, so some people laugh at me for saying that, but 30 is on the horizon. I'm closer to 30 than I am to 20, right? And I'm like, oh my God, like time is flying by. And I think we can all agree. Maybe it's post pandemic is like what I hear a lot of people say is like time is just flying by. Like it's like unbelievable. And I think because we lost 2 years there, maybe. But it's a clear indicator that like every moment, every ounce of effort that you put into your kids, it's gonna rebound hopefully, and they're gonna remember you in a way that matters. And that's not true for your work. That's not going to be true for guys' night. That's not going to be true for some of the other facets of life that I think we put before our kids at times. And I am speaking to fathers, you know what I mean? I think fathers oftentimes will, think their role is a provider, or potentially they think that their role is to teach the kids how to like build a shelf, or I know I'm putting like such stereotypical cliche dad vibes out there, but like I didn't really have a dad, so that's kind of like my image of it on media and just general consumption of what I think fathers do. And I think that the more important thing we could be doing is influencing our kids, like teaching them how to regulate emotion. Like now that I have a son, I feel like my eyes have opened, because when I have a daughter, I'm like, I'm just going to love the shit out of you and build you up. And I hope that does enough. But looking at my son, I'm like, I literally know the struggles you're going to go through in life as a young man with things like social media surrounding you, and just the weird like quirks of the 21st century. And I bring up social media because a generation ago, that wasn't a thought on our parents' minds. Like, how am I going to teach my kid to navigate something so treacherous? And we're kind of the first generation that's like going to be able to see what it's like to teach our kids through that. And like from start to finish, you know what I mean? And when you think about what you can do as a father, like when you look at your son, for me, it's like I can help you work through literally all of this shit in life. Because I know what it's going to feel like to be you to the best of my ability. And I could use empathy with my daughter, but really I think Rachel's going to be more of a key proponent in what it's going to be like to be a young woman battling all of those things. And so I just want to make this like short episode. It's like a trail off from me challenging the opt-out mentality, which is all about what season 2 is supposed to be about. And I want to make this one and call it 2100 because I want it to be really clear that our time is limited and all we have on this earth is our time with our kids. And if you can go, if you can take an extra day off of work, or you have the availability to be home more, be more present when you're home, I think that that's what matters, because come 2100, you're going to be a memory at best. And if you weren't a very memorable father, you'll barely be that. And that's just the God honest truth. There's only so much that we can give to this world to be remembered. And like I said, you could have your jersey retired, or you could have a statue put up of you. And sure, I guess people see your name and maybe read it sometimes, but there's no real memory there of you. The only memory that's going to transcend is going to be the one that your kids have, like that first-hand, first-person memory of you. And I think I carry that with me every day, and I just want to be a good father. And if you're struggling with why you need to be a good father, I mean, there's 1,000 reasons why, but if nothing else, I think as a man, you want to pass on your last name, you want legacy, all of that comes with like the standard approach of a man, right? That's why people have our last name. And I don't think you have any legacy if you're not pouring into your children. And it all starts somewhere. I think that dads can get away with like only playing ball when their kids are 8, right? And maybe they didn't change a lot of diapers. And it's like, oh, my dad is so dope, yada, yada, yada. But what we're failing to remember and what we're failing to see, and I think this is probably its own episode all on its own, is that there's a lot of like missing foundational love there. And you can tell when there's like a default parent situation, or like when your kid gets hurt, or like even, hey, your kid needs a signature for a field trip, right? They're most likely going to mom, I think, historically. And that's because like this foundational trust, even if you're the fun parent, even if your daughter's right, like you could get dads that are uninvolved, work all the time. They don't know how to swaddle. They don't change diapers. They've never made baby food. They, hold the little girl at best. And then they're just the fun parent that throws her in the air and goes swimming with her, right? And it's like, daddy, daddy, daddy. Like they're running for you at the door. And I think it gives you this illusion that you're like the parent. They think you're, oh, that's the guy right there. But like when they feel down or when they need someone or they scrape their knee, like they're not really going to daddy. And maybe they are, but I've noticed more often than not, they go to mom. And I think that we use the excuse that mothers have like this nurturing nature. And they do. That's not an excuse. That's true. That's a reason. But we fail to realize that fathers have the capability to nurture too. And I think it's because we haven't built like this foundational trust, right? Like Laguna and Bear will have this foundational trust with me that doesn't come from memory, just from like innate feeling. And it will be innate because of the work I put in with them as children. And it starts with like the fact that, I wake up for every single night feed with Bear because my swaddles are the real deal. And, Rachel tells me, she's like, I feel bad waking you up. When I swaddle him, his arm gets out. Like, I don't feel like it's not indicative to my ability as a mother, but it's not good enough that I don't have to wake you up. And I'm like, no, of course. And so I wake up for all, and these little nuanced things that I'm doing now, this is going to build to like when Bear's 10, like, of course he's going to feel comfortable to come ask me about, a social situation at school. Of course he's going to come to me when he's hurt. Of course he's going to feel like he can cry in my arms because I'm going to be emotionally available for him. And that first time he needed me to be emotionally available, he had that trust already there, even though I hadn't built a bunch of repetition of emotionally available with him. He had that trust there because I've always been there for him. And it's like innate in his brain because he doesn't remember like, oh, my dad always changed my diapers and always swaddled me and knew exactly which binky I liked and knew just how to make my bottle the right temperature for me. And he doesn't know all that. But all of that like builds this little confidence in this little baby, and that transcends age. And it grows with them to the point that they're like, wow, like me and my dad are so close. Like I just have this feeling that I'm connected, hyper connected with him. Anyway, I think that's its own podcast episode. But for now, this was just like a friendly conversation telling you like in 2100, we're all going to die. And so like, if you're watching this, you'll probably be dead in 2100. So get out there and love your kids. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if that all made sense, but you guys get it.